so now I'm going to do a 2-point perspective drawing. So I'm going to do some buildings on a street corner. Here's vanishing point 1, vanishing point 2, and the horizon line. I'm going to start with a line straight up and down over the horizon line. I'm going to connect the bottom to vanishing point 1 on this side and vanishing point 2 on this side. I'm going to connect the top to vanishing point 1 on this side and vanishing point 2 on this side. And I'm going to make a line straight up and down and straight up and down. Now I'm going to erase the horizon line because we don't see it through the building. Okay. If I want to make windows on this building, on this side they're going to go to vanishing point 1. This is straight up and down and straight up and down. And then I'm going to erase the lines in between. If I want to make windows on this side, it's going to go to vanishing point 2. So I'm just making kind of a guideline to put them in. Okay. If I want to make a door here, I'm going to go straight up and down and straight up and down. This line was going to vanishing point 1 and same here, but on this side it's going to go to vanishing point 2. Okay. Now, if I want to put a building kind of behind it, I'm going to make a line straight up. And then I'm going to go from here to vanishing point 1 and here to vanishing point 2. And then I'm going to put a side right here. Then I'm going to have the bottom not come as low as this building because it's farther back in space. So I'm going to make a line right here and a line straight up and down right here. I need to erase some of these lines because as you're drawing, the measuring lines can kind of muddy up your picture. So I'm going to erase these lines. Okay. And I'll probably erase these lines, but I'll do that later. Then I'm going to make a building coming up right here. Again, behind. So they're overlapping. Another thing that can show space. Perspective shows space. Shading shows space. And overlapping shows space. So I'm going to have this go straight down. Maybe I want it to become farther. So I'm going to erase this line here, this line here. And then I'm going to pick where I want this side to be. Then I'm going to go from this point to vanishing point 2. And then I'm going to pick a bottom that's going to vanishing point 2 as well. And there's my third building. I'm erasing some of these lines in here. Okay. So now I have 1, 2, and 3 buildings. If I want to put some buildings behind them, I'm going to go straight up right here. And I'm going to go from the top to vanishing point 1. and the top to vanishing point 2. Then I'm going to go straight up here and straight up here. Okay. And maybe I'll put another one back here. So I'm going to go straight up. And then I'm going to go from here to vanishing point 1. And here to vanishing point 2. I didn't make the sides yet. Then I'm going to make a side right here. And a side right here. Okay. Now I'm going to go for a sidewalk. I'm going to go right here. The building's like on the corner of the sidewalk. And right here. Then I'm going to go straight down for the curb. And I'm going to go to vanishing point 2 and vanishing point 1. Okay, that looks a little messy. If I want to add some shading to this, I can combine linear perspective and atmospheric perspective. First, I'm going to erase some of these lines. They're getting very distracting. So I'm just erasing some of these measuring lines because once there's too many in the drawing, it's kind of hard to tell what your actual drawing is. Okay, so if there's lines on the sidewalk, on this side, they're going to connect to vanishing point 2. So I'm going to make one coming directly out from this building. And see there's another one over here. So it's connecting to vanishing point 2 over here. Okay, and maybe, let's see if I can connect one here. Yeah, so one right here. And if there's lines on the other side, they're connecting to vanishing point 1. Okay, now maybe I'll put a few more windows in here. So I'm going to put some windows on this side. This window is overlapping with this building. And then I'm going to erase in between. And I'll put some windows on this building here, going to vanishing point 2. And then the top of a door. Okay, so now if I wanted to add shading, the building that's in the front would have the darkest darks and the lightest lights. As you go back, they would be more gray and disappearing into the atmosphere. That would be atmospheric perspective. So if the sun is over here, I'm going to have this side be the dark side. So I'm using a black colored pencil. then I'm going to put some shading in here. This is very simple shading. You can spend a lot more time and do something a lot more complicated. I'm just showing you the basics. Okay. Now, on this side, I'm still going to outline, but I'm not going to shade in because the sun is hitting this side. Okay. So now on this side, I'm going to use a dark gray pencil. So the gray is lighter than the black, and that's because this is farther away. I'm just doing really basic shading here. I'll do another series on shading later. Just kind of show you a little bit. And then if there's a building, these buildings back here, I mean, I'm using a lighter gray. And these lines could even kind of fade into the atmosphere. I'm kind of making them clear. But that's a lighter gray because it's farther back. And so just a little bit more shading on this, and then I'll have a 2-point perspective drawing with atmospheric perspective as well. And you can add anything you want to it. Trees, sky. I'm just trying to get the 2-point perspective in so it doesn't take too long. Can add windows here. And then this one is, I'm going to use the darker gray again. And remember that the sidewalk is even closer to us, so it would have shading as well if you wanted to put shading on it. Just gonna kind of make these a little darker with the black colored pencil. And then again, on this side, there would be the light, so it's not going to be as shaded in. I'm just doing a line. Okay. And then maybe there's like a little bit of shading here. Okay, and you can do more to it, but I think you've got the basics now for a basic drawing in 2-point perspective with atmospheric perspective for buildings on a corner. You could add trees here and here. You could add more windows. You could add a sky. You could add a background. But that's a basic 2-point perspective drawing. I'm going to stop there.